My name is Dylan Larcy, and I'm a student here at Full Sail in the show production and touring degree. Today, I will be interviewing Barry Phillips, a show production teacher here at Full Sail who focuses in lighting. What do you see as the role of visual arts in society today, particularly in your profession? Quote, "We live in a very visual world. The 24-hour news channels bring everything that is happening right into our living rooms and everywhere else, all day and all night. Image is everything, and most people try to craft some sort of image for themselves that may or not be grounded in reality. A singer can make up a complete lack of musical talent if they look good, or at least interesting, on television, video, or magazines. Images have always been carefully crafted. Hollywood was the first to really take advantage of visual media to create images for their stars that were often 360 degrees opposite from reality. Oddly enough, radio tried to do the same thing by creating characters and personalities that the audience could see in their minds. Musicians have always had tried to create an image for themselves through their album covers and later through the music video, which I'm still told exists but haven't seen one on MTV or VH1 in years. Good websites have to have visual elements, particularly if you are marketing a product and social media has everyone trying to impress with their latest pictures and videos. We are bombarded with images from time we get up to the time we go to bed. Visual arts have always been an important part of the live entertainment business, from theatrical sets to album covers to video. From the beginning, performers have created images for themselves and have used every medium available to project that image to the public. In Hollywood, it was the job of the studio publicist to craft a wholesome image for movie stars. In music, album covers and publicity pictures helped create personas for singers and bands. Later, television appearances and music videos served that same purpose. New communications and media technologies make imagery almost instantly available. Do you believe that this is having a positive or negative influence on your field/industry? Provide examples. Quote, "Both. People today have all of the information in the world available at their fingertips. When I was a kid, if you wanted to see a famous painting or photograph, you had to go to the library and hope you could find something in the encyclopedia. If you wanted to find out about a certain artist or genre of art or time in history, you might have to search through several volumes to find what you needed, and you were limited to what was available. That limited your knowledge, but also required you to be resourceful. Today you can enter a search term in your phone and get 9 million hits in a nanosecond. Sites like Flickr or Shutterfly let you travel around the world, see the world's greatest museums and natural wonders, and never leave your chair. Curious about an old TV show or movie? YouTube will even give you instant access to 50-year-old commercials. Movies? Netflix delivers them right to your smartphone. Having instant access to information is great, but I think it tends to make us lazy too. I think having to, or even better getting to, explore and search for something makes finding it a lot more satisfying. With everything so easy to find, we tend to look on everything as disposable, and we don't appreciate everything that is available to us. We also tend to want everything now. Students think that they are going to walk out of school and right into a 6-figure job, and that's just not reality. Every month I have at least one student who gets upset and frustrated because they can't master the console in 4 short weeks. The fact that I've been working with some consoles for well over a decade and still don't feel like I've mastered them doesn't seem to register with them. We want to be the best at everything with as little effort as possible. We've got so many resources at our fingertips and so many tools and gadgets that will do much of our grunt work for us that we no longer have to work as long or as hard on something, and I think that's a very unhealthy thing in this business and in society in general." End quote. What popular images do you see that are frequently repeated throughout your industry? Quote, "We repurpose just about everything, but some of the images that get repeated a lot are more iconic album covers, photographs, and artwork that come from the 60s and early 70s. The Beatles' Abbey Road album cover has probably been recreated and spoofed more than any other album cover in history. The same goes for Andy Warhol's Campbell's soup cans printing. Famous photographs of Jim Morrison, Jimi Hendrix, Marilyn Monroe, and scenes from Woodstock are now considered collectible works of art. Just about every kid my age had a blacklight poster on the wall of their room, and UV remains one of my favorite lighting toys. I'll also take any opportunity to slip a bunch of Congo blue gels into the rig and make everything go day glow. And there are bands like the Rolling Stones and The Who that have turned their logos into a cottage industry, and those are endlessly repurposed, reused, and spoofed around the world. End quote. Who is one of your favorite visual artists? And/or what is your favorite style of visual art? Most of what I learned early on about art I learned from Monty Python. The same goes for classical music and PDQ Bach, so my taste may be a little warped. But I do like color and I do like action. I like very bold colors and vivid imagery, so some of my favorite artists have been people like Alexander Calder, Leroy Neiman, Robert Indiana, and Peter Max. Names that probably make art purists scream, but who work on a grand scale and whose colors wake up my brain and stimulate my senses in ways that are important to my creative process. Artists you've probably never heard of like Bill Ballantine and Jim Howe, who have created vivid portraits of circus performers, and Mike Keever, who created some incredibly colorful and whimsical art based on his days with the circus. My favorite artist? That would be my 4-year-old nephew, Ethan. I've got 2 of the coolest paintings of flowers that he did in preschool on the wall in my office at home, because no one does colorful abstract art like a preschooler. How has your knowledge of famous artworks influenced your creative process? Quote, obviously, color and composition are very important to a lighting designer, whether you are trying to do subtle lighting for a theatrical set or big and loud lighting of a rock and roll show. What I know about those elements of classical artwork has certainly helped over the years, but I tend to draw a little more from other areas of photography and animation. In fact, I describe my creative process in terms of creating snapshots and extremes, which are terms from those disciplines. I also try to keep my work very clean, with a lot of straight lines, and try to use limited color palette when creating those looks, since too much color and lighting tends to turn everything into a mushy brown soup. The knowledge that I have of famous artwork, and I've been fortunate enough to visit some of the world's great art museums and see them in person, has an influence on my creative process, but I draw inspiration from many different areas: art, movies, cartoons, architecture, photos, sunsets, a trip to the zoo, or a walk around the Florida Mall. Any and all of those things can be an important part of my weird little creative world. End quote.